Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about the Olympic Games, the biggest sports event on Earth. But did you know that the Olympics have a long history filled with absolutely crazy, unbelievable facts? Some of them sound completely fake, but they're 100% real. So in today's video, I'm going to show you 5 of the craziest Olympic facts that will seriously blow your mind. Alright, let's jump right into it with number 5. Michael Phelps has more Olympic gold medals than many entire countries. Yes, you heard that right. Michael Phelps is the most decorated Olympian of all time, with an incredible 23 Olympic gold medals. To put that into perspective, some countries have competed in the Olympics for over 100 years, and they still have fewer gold medals than Phelps alone. That's how dominant he was in swimming. Every time he stepped onto the world stage, it felt like history was being made. He didn't just win races, he completely changed the sport. Even today, his Olympic record seems almost impossible to break. Alright, now let's move on to number 4. Because this next fact is one of the strangest Olympic events ever. The Olympics once had a sport called plunge for distance, and yes, it was exactly as weird as it sounds. This event appeared in the early Olympic Games, and the rules were almost unbelievable. Athletes would simply jump into a swimming pool, and then they were not allowed to swim. No strokes, no movement, no paddling at all. They had to stay completely still, just floating in the water. The winner was the person who drifted the farthest distance after jumping in, so the entire competition was basically about who could float the best. Unsurprisingly, this event didn't last very long. It was only included once because people quickly realized how strange and pointless it was compared to real athletic sports. Still, it remains one of the most bizarre Olympic events in history. Alright, now let's move on to number 3, because this next one involves one of the most chaotic races ever. In the 1904 Olympic Games, the marathon was so chaotic, the winner actually rode part of the race in a car. Yes, seriously. The 1904 Olympic Marathon is often considered one of the strangest and most disastrous races in sports history. The conditions were absolutely brutal. The weather was extremely hot, the roads were dusty, and many runners collapsed from exhaustion. There were barely any water stations, and some athletes were literally running while breathing in thick clouds of dust. But the craziest part? One of the top finishers was discovered to have traveled part of the marathon course in a vehicle. The entire event was filled with confusion, cheating, and bizarre moments that would never be allowed today. It's a perfect example of how different and messy the early Olympic Games really were. Alright, now let's move on to number 2, because this next fact is something most people still don't know. Olympic gold medals are not actually made of solid gold. Most people assume that if you win gold at the Olympics, you receive a medal made entirely out of pure gold. But that's not true. Modern Olympic gold medals are mostly made of silver. They only contain a thin layer of gold on the outside. In fact, the amount of real gold inside a gold medal is surprisingly small compared to what most people imagine. If Olympic medals were made from solid gold, they would be extremely heavy and incredibly expensive. Instead, the real value of a gold medal isn't the medal itself, it's what it represents. Years of training, sacrifice, discipline, and becoming the best in the world. And finally, let's move on to number 1, and this last fact might be the most shocking of all. The youngest Olympic champion in history was only around 10 years old. Yes, just 10. He competed at the 1900 Paris Olympic Games in the sport of rowing. More specifically, he was a coxswain, the small team member who sits at the front of the boat, steers, and directs the rowers. At the time, the Dutch rowing team needed someone very lightweight to improve their speed, so they chose a local young boy to be their coxswain. They went on to win the race, meaning the boy received an Olympic gold medal at just around 10 years old. What makes this even crazier is that his exact identity was never properly recorded. To this day, he remains the youngest Olympic champion ever, and we may never know exactly who he was. And that wraps up today's video. From a 10-year-old Olympic champion to gold medals that aren't actually made of solid gold, to a marathon so chaotic that the winner actually rode part of the race in a car. The Olympics truly have some unbelievable history. Which fact surprised you the most? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and want more crazy sports facts, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.